All right, welcome everyone. We've got a pretty good group. We'll keep this under 30 minutes as promised, but I have a lot of information I'd like to cover. And the reason I'm going to do this is because this is a topic that I'm super interested in, and I think it's kind of important. But regarding the class this week, we're talking about beliefs. And we have the law of belief and the art of belief inspection. And this is a big week because this is the week that you are going to start your personal creed document, part 1. And at the end of our little time together here, I'm going to show you some examples, but I want to dive deep into the power of our beliefs and how our beliefs are formed. And belief says our beliefs impact how we live. I'm going to do a couple different ways that that's impactful. So this is going to be hopefully a little interactive. Please use the chat if you have questions or comments, and feel free to unmute your mic and talk with all of us. It's always better when we hear from students. But I want to talk a little bit about this statement. Oops, don't go too fast. What follows I am follows me. I want you to think about that. If you were to say I am ... what would be some of the I ams that come after you say that? Could be I am smart, I am weak, I am inadequate, I am fun, I am happy, I am what? And this is important because, thank you, we have I am patient. Very good. Anybody else want to have an add to that? I'm strong. Thank you, Lacey. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about these things in a minute. Before that, I want you to think about this person here in the picture. We all know who this is. This is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was known for a lot of things. So if you were to do, if Abraham Lincoln was to do an I am statement, we're going to do it for him. Abraham Lincoln he was what? I am Abraham Lincoln. What was he? What were some descriptive terms that you could use for him? So Honest Abe, that was what he was known for. He was wise. Thank you, guys. I am changing. Okay. Anybody else? Hang on one second. Getting a little feedback, so I'm going to fix that. Okay. Anything else from Abraham Lincoln? Honest, wise. Well, a lot of
trustworthy.
Trustworthy. Thank you. Yes, for hopping on. I love that. Okay. Well, a lot of people don't recognize or know that Abraham Lincoln was also these things. I jumped ahead of myself. He suffered from depression. In fact, he suffered from depression pretty severely in an era when they didn't have the treatments that they had now. He also, as a young lawyer in Illinois, had a very bad temper. In fact, he got in a duel that could have cost him his life. The argument was so bad. They went out and they were going to shoot each other. Well, the Abraham Lincoln that we know and is revered in history was not that. He overcame depression largely, and he also gained a great control of his anger. And that's because he was able to do these 4 things. He had a great capacity. We learned from his biographies and others that he had a great capacity to examine his life, to identify things that he wasn't super happy about, to learn, to adapt, and to make changes, to grow. Well, we're gonna talk a little bit about some words here on this screen, okay? And we're gonna actually play a little bit of some activities with it, okay? These are words that are related to this week's lesson: our perception, our beliefs, our social mirror, we're going to talk about in a minute, our self-image, our self-worth, our belief window, Brother Christensen talks about. Gestalt is our awareness, right? And we're always aware of things that are top of mind, right? If you buy a new car or a used car, You might think that that was one of the few cars in town like yours. Let's say you bought a, I don't know, pick a car, a Honda Accord. Well, there's lots of Honda Accord, but what happens once you buy a Honda Accord? You see them everywhere, right? It's not that they all of a sudden there's more of them. It's just your awareness says there's one, there's one, there's one. We also have scotomas. Scotomas are our blind spot. We all have blind spots. And here's an example. I want you guys in chat to answer this question as fast as you can. How many countries have the 4th of July?
Haha, all of them.
There you go. How many put, and not, you guys are smarter than me this time, right? The answer that we often happens on this, you guys are beating me on today, is they say the United States has the 4th of July. Yeah, so Tiffany's got it right. They all have it, but the US celebrates it as independence. But us as members, citizens of the United States, we automatically go to Independence Day, the 4th of July. Well, England and France and Greece and Czechoslovakia, if they use the same calendar system, the Greco-Roman calendar, have the July 4th, okay? But we all have these blind spots. Well, I'm going to give you a little example of a blind spot in my life, right? My wife and I, when we first got married, we thought we would have, like her family, 6 kids, 3 boys, 3 girls, all spaced the right distance apart, right? Every couple of years. Well, it didn't happen for us. We had a baby that took a while to have our first baby, and then we sadly lost our second baby at birth. Then it took us longer to have our next baby. And we had like a 9-year gap between, a 6-year gap between that. And so we had these 3 kids, 3 living, 4 children, 3 living kids. But we kept thinking we want more, but we weren't able to have more. So we started, my wife in particular, and my oldest daughter, then my only daughter, started talking about adoption. And I was not a fan of the idea. I was comfortable with 3. I knew how expensive it would be, and I reluctantly explored it. Well, we learned that we could adopt a baby through this agency, and that the baby would be a boy. And I thought if we adopted, we should get a girl because that would even things out. And this baby that was available was African American. So I thought, okay, it's going to be expensive. We're going to have a mixed race family. And so all of a sudden, my gestalt kicks in, and I start noticing all of these African American or African people in Rexburg. And I noticed if they were young or they were old. And I started thinking and talking to people about adoption. And it was scary for me. And these blind spots were pounding me in the head. And I was not really doing very well with it. Well, fast forward on August 16th, 2005, we were able, so this is, I'm jumping in myself, this is paradigms is how we see the world, right? Well, we adopted this little boy. His name is Isaac. We got him when he was 1 day old. And it didn't take me very long for my paradigm, how I viewed the world shifted. I couldn't now, 14 years later, be a bigger advocate of adoption. And I couldn't be a bigger advocate of having a mixed race family. I think it's one of the coolest things that we've ever done. And you'll hear some stories about Isaac as the semester goes along. And then we had a miracle, right? In our mid 40s, my wife and I, didn't think we would ever be able to biologically have another baby, had another baby. So we got a little girl who came along as a surprise. So we ended up with our 6 children, not traditional. My oldest is 34. My youngest daughter is 12. She was born after he came home off his mission and was engaged to be married, right? So do any of you, as I've told this story, can you guys think of blind spots or inaccurate perceptions that you might have, or gestalt that's just kind of changing? Or anybody have a story to share? If not, we'll proceed with a couple of ideas here. Okay.
I mean,
Yes, go ahead. Cami.
take a little backward, but I just noticed that I tend to be someone who gives people protection. Like, I'm very much a very loud and opinionated person
Uh-huh.
to make some people see the world differently.
Yeah.
Just through my life experiences. So it's been interesting here in college. Kind of feel like professors and even like classmates and stuff like admit that like it completely changed their view of something.
Yeah.
So it's interesting being the person that changes people's view. I'm not saying I don't have blind thoughts, but I'm sure I can't have a lot less than other people.
Uh-huh.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. Super interesting. Thank you. Anybody else? Well, we're going to explore today a topic that's very much in this statement. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. This lens through which we see the world impacts everything that we do. And our perception is reality. Now, this is a little introduction to psychocybernetics. Now, psychocybernetics, there are 2 books on the topic. There's more than that. But there are 2 primary books. The first book was written in 1960, the year I was born, by Maxwell Maltz. And he was a plastic surgeon, and he was world renowned. I mean, people came to him because they wanted to look different. And they had this belief that if Maxwell Maltz, Dr. Maltz, could just change their nose or their ears or their body shape or whatever and make them look better in the mirror, that they would be happier. And Dr. Maltz discovered that most cases, the people who thought that a change of their physical appearance would make their self-esteem better was puzzled by the fact that it didn't. And so he wrote a book about it, about how we can change our self-perception. In the late 1990s, Dr. Bobby Summer wrote a book called Psychocybernetics 2000, where she kind of brings this concept into the modern psychology. And this is the statement that she said. She said, we always see the world, we always act in a manner that is consistent with our self-image, regardless of the reality of that self-image. Now, this very much ties into what Brother Christensen teaches us in Inner Victory. Our beliefs affect how we live and feel and do and breathe and respond. Well, sometimes our belief or our self-image is wrong. In fact, a lot of times it's wrong. So what I would like to explore, and if you guys interrupt me anytime, by the way, if you have a question or throw something on chat, I'll keep that open. I want to explore how our beliefs are formed. And sometimes this can be a catalyst for worry or something that I deal with. Dr. Martin Rossman teaches in The Worry Solution that the discrepancy between the real and imagined is the root of suffering. We're going to talk about that later in the semester as well, when it ties in again. So let's look at how our habits and our beliefs are formed. It all starts with how our brain is wired. Now, our brain, if you take your 2 hands together, that's about the size of your brain. And your brain is divided into 2 hemispheres, the left brain and the right brain. The left brain is very verbal, it's analytical, it's rigid, it's logical. It remembers names, it's studious, it's where we learn to think first. The right brain, in contrast, is more visual, it's spontaneous, it's imaginative. It's where we see pictures and it's intuitive and it's fun. Now, when we learn things, we typically learn things first with our left brain. So if you think about tying your shoes, when I first learned to tie my shoes at 5 or 6, I don't remember exactly when, it was very verbal. It was my mom then teaching me how to do it. When I first learned to type or first learned to drive, it was very verbal and analytical as part of what we call our conscious thinking. Well, the right brain it eventually migrates to that, right? When I tie my shoes today, I do not think about the steps. It's instinctual. I've learned it. I can type on my keyboard, and I'm a pretty fast typist, but I'm very good at hitting the backspace because I try to be too fast. I could drive from here to Idaho Falls and not think once about driving, right? It's just instinctual. So we learn things first in the left brain. They often migrate to the right brain, and then it becomes part of our subconscious. An example, and I want you guys to try this. I'm going to see a few of you who are on moving my slides. I want you to take your hands and I want you to clasp them just like this. Okay? So this has no real meaning, but if you clasp your fingers, for me, my right thumb is above my left thumb. Okay? Now I want you guys to switch that. I want you to put the opposite thumb on. All right? Okay. What does that feel like? Anybody? It's weird. Okay, thanks, Bryce.
Definitely feels very weird.
Yeah, it's not right, right? Well, somewhere when I was younger, I just clasp my fingers this way, and I don't do it that way, right? It's uncomfortable. It's wrong. It's off. You guys are right. Okay, now I want you to fold your arms. Okay, fold your arms. For me, this is how I fold my arms always. This is always fun to watch people, if I do this in a regular classroom, to try and fold it the opposite way. It's like, I don't even know if I can do it. It's like, I can do it, kind of. Okay, how's that feel? Right? It's exactly the same, right? Okay, it's weird. It's not how we do things, right? Well, what we learn in psychocybernetics is the left brain and the right brain have this dynamic that helps us form our beliefs, right? Our self-image. So because the left brain is analytical, it has these principles. It has the principle of select and eliminate. It's going to think things through, right? So if I go into a restaurant and I look at the menu, the left brain starts off and it's going to look at the menu. Now the menu is going to have more than chicken or beef. It can have chicken, beef, fish, blah, 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 all sorts of things, right? Well, I'm going to do some thinking. Do I want chicken or do I want beef? Well, if I select something, I select beef, I eliminate chicken, right? So I've done that little thinking process. And then the right brain just agrees and complies. It's going along for the ride, right? It's fun and it's just intuitive and instinctual. Yum, I like beef, okay? So it's going to agree with the left brain and it's going to comply. If I go to work, I'm working at home, but if I was to go to my office, someone could say, Steve, you don't look like you're feeling well. Well, I might have been feeling just fine, but my left brain starts thinking about it. If I start thinking, well, could I be sick? Maybe I'm sick. Well, if I select sick, I eliminate well. Well, the right brain just agrees and complies. Yep, I'm sick. And I feel sick, right? Very psychological, right? Well, here's an example in my own personal life. I have been told all of my life that I can't sing. So I eliminate, logically, left brain thinking that I can sing. And my right brain just agrees. And I believe that I can't sing. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys start thinking about this a little bit. I'm going to share some examples. I want you to think about this dynamic, and if there's anything in your subconscious, your right brain, where you just kind of believe you can't do some things, right? So here's my life, right? 6 years old. I was asked to sing at a family reunion. I got nervous, forgot the words, choked, cried, was scolded, made fun of, decided, actually selected, left brain working, can't sing. The right brain just believes it. Can't sing, don't like it, won't do it. Now sing in church, right? But quietly and not to make anybody feel bad. Well, this has very much to go along with this. The left brain does something, but we begin to have this B complex, right? What follows I am is I am not a good singer, right? So fast forward to how this plays out in life. This is a super important concept. I don't want to skip by that. Self-image and how we manage worrying and remembering. The right brain, this subconscious brain that just agrees and complies, does not know the difference between an imagined experience and a real one, right? It doesn't know the difference. So every time this can't sing part of my life happens, failed at singing, right brain says can't sing. Remembered failing, right brain says can't sing. Imagined singing horribly, I can't sing. Worried about failing again. Tried and failed again. Teased about singing. Remembered again. More worry. And I just have this rock solid bedrock belief that I can't sing, nor ever will I become a good singer. Now, if you look at this dynamic, I actually only failed at singing a couple times. But I worry about it, I fuss over it, I imagine it, I forecast, I think about the bad experience, and it just becomes who I am. Every time you remember, worry, or imagine, the right brain believes it happened again. And it just gets reinforced and reinforced and reinforced. And the case study that we're doing this week has a lot to do with these labels that get placed on us, or the labels we give ourselves. Later on, we're going to do a part of our pre-document where we talk about positive self-talk and positive vision, right? So this is my belief window, right? And this is from Inner Victory. We look out, I'm looking out a window of my bedroom right now, right? It has window panes. You can see it there. Well, in our lives, we're looking out of this window figuratively. And this is me in a very real sense. I am a bad driver, right? I've been hit by a train, lived through it, obviously. I've run over a pig. I've totaled 3 or 4 other cars. And I honestly have a belief that I'm not a very good driver. I can't dance. I'm a good ping pong player, not that smart. I'm a good student. For some reason, I do not know why, don't get me near mice, right? I've got a phobia, it's fine. I don't like doctors, right? You can't see this, maybe you can, a scar on my hand that goes from here to here. I actually can't open my thumb quite right. When I was 3 years old, I almost cut my hand half off, jumping off a rock and hitting it with a Coke bottle. And that traumatic experience means I don't enjoy going to the doctor. I'm a good speaker. I can't sing. I'm very creative. I like to play basketball. And I think I'm a good dad most times. Most days, I'm a pretty good dad. And I need to be a better husband, right? Well, these parts of my life affect how I feel, act, produce, and respond. Some are good, some are negative. Now, the question is there something on your belief window that is impacting your productivity or your happiness? So this is where you can be a little bit, hopefully, forthcoming. If you want to talk to us, you can, or we already have Eliza says, not the best at sports, okay? Anybody have something on their belief window that's kind of a pain? Anybody? I can see you're all thinking. We all have them, by the way, good and bad.
Bad at studying.
Okay, Kenneth, thank you. So I'm kind of the same way, right? I was not a great student. I became a better student, right? And over time, my paradigm shifted to where I believed I was a good student. That's why I actually started doing better. Anybody else? Okay, never thinking I'm good enough, not as smart as my siblings, okay? Do not have self-control around sweets. I could add that one to my window, okay? I think putting myself below others is being humble, okay? Well, humble is a good thing, but putting yourself below, maybe not. Okay, very common one, not good at taking tests. Procrastinating. Okay, good. Anybody else? Okay. Let's talk about how we solve this, okay? And this is actually, I think, super powerful, and it's in psychocybernetics, so we're going to teach it really quickly. It is called CRAFT, okay? CRAFT is an acronym for a process of reprogramming the right brain, right? The left brain, we have a little more, we're a little more in charge of it, right? Bobby Summer talks in her book, it's like riding a horse, right? If you ever went to some dude ranch where they have a horse that went on the same trail every day, that horse is going to go on that trail, following the horse in front of it, leading the horse behind it. and you're not going to bear it. That's kind of like the right brain. The left brain is the rider. Now, if you could ever get that horse alone, you could retrain it to do a different path. The left brain is the rider, the right brain is the horse. It's trained, it's kind of locked in. So we're going to reprogram the right brain. And it starts with C, which stands for cancel. Okay, so I want you to remember left brain, right brain dynamic. The left brain selects and eliminates. So if you have this thought, a negative thought like, I can't sing, is that down at the bottom? My chat's hiding it. Every time you have a negative thought, you need to stop that thought. So I'm going to give you a couple tricks on doing this, okay? Now, the negative thought, when it comes into the left brain, you can entertain it. It's better if you stop it. Now, Bobby Summer would say silently to yourself, stop. Well, I'm not good at doing silent to myself, so my kids would say, why are you saying stop? So then I'd start shaking my head. They thought I was having like something not good. You can put a rubber band on your wrist and just pop it, right? Every time that negative pop it. Don't like hurt yourself, right? The one I like to do because it's less noticeable and it still does the job is I just squeeze my hand. Okay, there I am, can't sing, okay? You need to stop that negative thought before you select it, okay? The next one, R, is replace with a positive thought. Now, we started off today with I am. You want to have your positive thought start with I am. I am a great singer. I am a great test taker. I am an A student. I am comfortable around other people. I am a great speaker, okay? When you replace it with a positive thought, you're selecting consciously, left brain, selecting the positive thought, an I can thought, an I am thought. So every time you select positive, you eliminate negative. And over time, you start to believe it, okay? You're going to reinforce that with A, okay? A is affirm, more positive thoughts. So what you do during the day, you have a little note on your phone, on your your mirror, where you get your toothbrush, on your computer keyboard. And every time you see that little reminder, you're going to repeat to yourself, I'm a great singer. I'm a great singer. I'm a great speaker. I'm an A student. I'm great at taking tests, right? And it's just managing that left brain. Select, eliminate. Selecting can, and over time, believing can. Now we're going to engage the right brain, okay? The right brain, every time you imagine something, the right brain does not know the difference between a real or an imagined experience. So I'm going to control remember and worry. Remembering is thinking about the past, worrying is forecasting the future. So I'm going to visualize being a great singer. I'm a great singer. I'm a great test taker. Imagine yourself going into the testing center, being confident. You could even imagine yourself getting a little anxious and then moving away from anxious and being confident again. Imagine getting that score and it's an A. Imagine success, okay? The hardest one is train. This is where you fake it for a while. You fake and you pretend that you're a great test taker. Pretend you're an A student. Pretend you're not afraid in a fearful situation. Now, Bobby Summer taught that this takes time, right? And you're going to have like a roller coaster. You're going to have a step forward, a step back. You're going to have ups and downs. But over time, as you practice craft, you eventually get that right brain reprogramming and it becomes the new I am. And what follows I am, you believe you are, follows success, okay? It's like tying your shoes in a new way. You can do it. Any comments before I show you 4 examples of personal creed document this week? Any thoughts on this? Okay, I believe in it. I love it. It's helped me a ton. I'm going to teach you 2 different versions of this later in the semester. So if you hate it, that's fine too, but it actually works. All right, personal creed document. This is page 1 of your personal creed document. Now you'll notice, I need to fix this. I'm not averse to the number 7. I I've actually fixed it. I just haven't updated my slideshow, right? And 13 is unlucky numbers. I actually have 12, right? Your personal creed document is a list of things that you believe in, and they could be what you are dealing with perception-wise. It can't be just 13 or 12 or 10, however you want to do words. You need to have a little why statement, okay? Or a little explanation. So I believe in, this is being hidden. Let me see if I can move it, move it. I believe in the Savior Jesus Christ and his capacity to teach, heal, and save. I'm not going to read all these. I believe in his church. I believe in my family. I believe in service. I believe in the power of habit and routine, self-mastery, that my body is a temple. I believe in the value of being still. I'm a huge fan of meditation. I believe in the healing power of nature. If I ride my bike today, I'm going to feel better, especially if I ride it outside. If I go on a hike, if I'm on the back of my horse, I'm going to feel better. I believe in empathy and the value and power of gratitude. Okay, that's my personal creed document, page 1. Okay, now what you're going to hand in this week may not look like this. It may be just the words, due on Friday. It may be just the words. That's fine. And hopefully by the end of the semester, you're going to build something that'll end up being something that you just feel it. You just believe it. Okay. Example number 2, my beliefs. God, the eternal Father, the importance of family, mothers, temple, husband, just picking some of these, freedom. She believes in herself. She believes in the golden rule, okay? So another example, and the number's up to you, right? I wouldn't do 30, I wouldn't do 5, but find something in that 8 to 12 range. 15 for this example, okay? So what do you believe in? And it can be as simple as I believe in, okay? Very much an example we used earlier, like the articles of faith. I've gone a couple minutes over. I'm going to hurry, okay? Be creative with this. Rules of the road. I believe. Whenever you find yourself doubting how far you can go, just remember how far you've come. Remember everything you've faced, all the battles you've won, and all the fears you have overcome. A quote fits nicely here, but then a list of beliefs. She's called this her rules of the road, okay? Another one, failure, truth, respect, modesty. Little more explanation here, that's fine. Commitment, leadership, learning, family, work, compassion, forthrightness, and God, okay? So those are just some examples of personal creed document 1. Okay, so just for housekeeping, I'll mention a couple things. I'm going to stay on as long as anybody wants to talk with me, but I'm going to stop the recording in just about a minute. So this week you actually have a case study quiz, not a group work. We're going to alternate. Last week was a group, could be a group of one other person. This week is a quiz, next week will be a group. The quiz is about the case study. Just gives you a chance to kind of go through the case study. Personal creed document part 1 is due on Friday. Again, it's just going to be a rough draft version. Well, you can gussy it up and make it whatever at the end of the semester. Remember to do your discussion. Try to do your first post. I'm not grading you if you get it done by Wednesday, but try to do your first post on Wednesday. To get full credit, you'll need to do 2 comments within your group. If your group is inactive, meaning you're with 4 other, not, let me rephrase that, you're with 4 procrastinators. Let me know if there's not other people to comment on, and I'll make sure I adjust your grade. You could even comment on your comment on your post if you need to, okay? All right, any questions? All right, thank you. I'm going to stop the recording, and I'll stay on to visit with anybody who wants to. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thank